Hi there, greetings and salutations. My name is Jake Query.
Hi, I'm Derek Schultz.
That's the first time you've ever done that. How many of these have we done?
I think you're right.
210?
Yeah, let me think on that. 211? Yes, 211. Okay.
Isn't 211?
I had 210 on the brain from last week.
Isn't 211 like a police code for something really bad that NWA used to use, or Eazy-E?
I don't think so.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, I think it is.
No.
211. Like, yeah, no, I think it's
211's robbery? Who knows?
Robbery.
How did Jordan know that?
well.
Jordan's like, I would guess
I don't know
that
if you know that background.
Jordan Shue has never. I don't think Jordan Shue's ever gotten a traffic ticket.
What, are you implying that most people have committed a robbery?
No, he has never committed a crime. But I don't know why he would know that code. Maybe his brother, he has a family member that's a cop or something. But
What about 187?
That's
Do you know
really
187?
Yeah, homicide. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did know that one.
Okay.
Thanks from hip hop though. That's the only reason I know that. I don't have anybody in my family that's a cop.
During the Bronco chase, they say suspect wanted for a double 187.
I don't remember that.
Name is Orenthal James Simpson.
Honestly, I kind of blacked out during that because I was so angry because they took the Knicks off TV and it was in that little square in the corner.
Did the Knicks win or lose that game?
The Knicks won that game. It was game 5, I think. And it sent the series back to Houston.
That's right.
Up 3-2. I think.
So that was before John Starks went 1 for 50.
John Starks went, 1 for 50 in the
Game 7, right?
Game 7, yeah. And then he missed what could have been the potential game-winning. Well, it was blocked by Hakeem Olajuwon, but missed what could have been the potential game-winning three-pointer in Game 6.
That would have won the whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was a 2-point game at that point, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Well, anyway, my name's Jake, that's Derek, and it is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named Query and Schultz program here on the ISC Sports Network. And Derek, reality is this. Things are not going well for the Colts.
Yeah.
They are a hot topic, no question about it. It just feels to me, excuse me, I think the thing that's the most frustrating about this is it's one thing to struggle. It's one thing to drop a game here or there that you thought you were going to win. What's the direction of this team?
Yeah, nowhere.
What are they? What is the vision? I think the thing that's frustrating is you are, if you're the Indianapolis Colts, November 15th, I believe, is there are multiple ways that you can be a season ticket holder, whether depending on the different levels of package. One of those is November 15th, I think, when stuff goes out, right? If you are asking your season ticket holders to invest for another season of being a season ticket holder, you're asking people to have a vision and a plan to plan ahead for next year. You got to set the money aside to do it. You got to, you got to make sure that you have your funds aligned. You got to commit to whether or not you want to do it. And yet this is a franchise that it's contradictory because they clearly and seemingly have none of those. They have no plan, they have no vision, and they have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah, I've heard the term rudderless, and I think that's probably an apt term. And it's tough, Jake, because we've been around this franchise for a long time, including basically the entire Manning era, right? And this was one of the exemplary franchises for how you conduct your business, right? Not just the fact that they had Peyton Manning, but how they drafted, how they developed those draft picks, the culture, all those things, all the buzzwords and the things that we talked about. The Colts basically scored straight A's across the board in pretty much all of those areas. And now you look around at the results these past couple of years in these press conferences where they're giving nothing burger answers, and the home team, the home crowd is an invasion of the visiting fan base. I mean, that was an invasion of Buffalo fans. They were getting up on third down. Their players were going like this in a road atmosphere. I mean, credit the Bills fans. It's a great fan base, but that's embarrassing.
Right.
It's embarrassing for the Colts, the Bears and stuff like that. Like, that's one thing. But to have Buffalo come in here and do it, and you've had the Steelers do it. You're going to have the Lions do it in a couple of weeks. It's a tough look for the franchise. And that's not a reflection on the fans. That's a reflection on the team. I said after they benched Anthony Richardson that I don't care how you feel about the decision. Everything about that pointed to panic move and a poorly run franchise. And this is a poorly run franchise from the owner on down. Jim Irsay has not done a good job. Their general manager's really not done a good job, and it's amazing that he's still here after 8 years of mostly ineptitude. And the head coach is doing. I want to give Shane Steichen the benefit of the doubt because we're not even, we're barely halfway through year 2, but he's handled this about as poorly as you could possibly handle this, at least publicly.
Yeah, I no argument there, right? I mean, here's the thing. So Anthony Richardson has been now seemingly indefinitely replaced as the quarterback for the Colts. Okay. The keys were handed over to 39-year-old Joe Flacco. Initially, that was because Joe Flacco gave them the best chance to win. But they haven't. And he has not played well. And this happened after Anthony Richardson did the helmet tap of like, no, I was just tired. I'm not going to lie to you. I was just tired. Whether this is a disciplinary move, which it seemingly feels like it is, of the penalty. If this was a disciplinary move of we can't believe you took yourself out of a game, so we're gonna slap you on the wrist, you seemingly would have reversed course by now or gone back to the initial course by now. This feels to me, Derek, like, and I don't know this, but it feels like we have seen in the past where the owner has swooped in and demanded that a change be made at the quarterback position. Carson Wentz, he didn't want around anymore, so he basically got in and said, this guy's got to go. And then when Matt Ryan was playing, he suddenly jumped in and said, I want to see what Sam Ehlinger can do, and I'm going to bring in Jeff Saturday. And this feels like that. This feels like where the head coach, I know Shane Steichen, there's no way that Shane Steichen can believe in this, right? There's no way that Shane Steichen can sit there and say, Joe Flacco's my guy, and not want to hand the keys back to the young player that seemingly the roster. I think the roster is disappointed in the fact that Richardson has put himself in this position. But deep down, I think if you're DeForest Buckner, you're Kwity Paye, you're Quentin Nelson, you're Ryan Kelly, you're saying to yourself, no. Like, I'm not here for 3 years down the road. I'm here for now. What's our best case scenario now? And the best case scenario now is the athletic quarterback. We've seen what Flacco can do. He's a donut tire, right? You've hit the expiration date on it. But when you look at where they are, you can, if you wanted to, you could make a compelling argument that Chris Ballard's the culprit. If you wanted to, you could make a compelling argument that Shane Steichen's the culprit. If you wanted to, you could make a compelling argument that Anthony Richardson's the culprit. And you could make the argument that Jim Irsay's the culprit. Either way, what it comes down to is it is a team that until they get out and tell us exactly what's going on, which they're not going to do, they look directionless, and therefore I don't know why people would invest in it.
Yeah, and the thing, let's go back to that about the veterans and the Richardson conversation. Remember 2 weeks ago it was, well, the veterans deserve a chance to win now, right? So that's why you play Flacco. Is this offense better with Joe Flacco? I mean, no, right?
Okay.
No? Is that fair?
Derek, it can be. And I'll tell you why. At least with Joe Flacco, they start using Jonathan Taylor. Until they don't.
But you're much more...
You get 105 yards out of a guy in the first half, and then you're like, okay, well, we're going to have him go sell popcorn.
But Taylor's much more dynamic with a running threat at quarterback.
I understand, but they don't use that, though.
Well, they're not using him with Flacco either because they start keying in, and then they're like, all right, we're going to throw. The whole idea with Joe Flacco is you wanted him to be like Gardner Minshew, where you go out there and you just don't screw it up.
Right.
And instead, Flacco screwed it up. Well, he completed 75% of his passes. Great. He turned the ball over 4 times. He's lucky he didn't have 6 turnovers in that game.
Correct.
He tried to give the ball away a couple of other times. They have one touchdown drive in the last 2 games in non-garbage time. One touchdown drive. This offense, if you're looking just at the sample of this season, I know it hasn't been great with Richardson. It's not been better with Flacco. So this insinuation that Flacco is the better win now because he raises the floor, the Colts' floor has caved in the last 2 games. They were awful against Minnesota, and they did nothing against Buffalo. So I can't even buy that argument anymore. I think we've seen enough where not only is it pointless for the future to continue with a 39-year-old quarterback in Flacco, it's pointless for the now. You might as well go back to Richardson and at least maybe you'll have a chance to get an explosive play. You can't even get that with Flacco. Outside of a couple of YOLO balls against the NFL's worst defense in Jacksonville, he hasn't done that all year.
YOLO.
You only live once. Remember that used to be a thing?
I'd like to point this out. If I dropped a YOLO on here, you would mock it for weeks.
What are you talking about? The only person that gets mocked on this show is me.
No. If I said YOLO, you'd be like, YOLO. What was this? The 2011 call? Like if I dropped a YOLO, you'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like,
I mean, people still use that term. OMG, YOLO, Ruffle,
okay.
LMAO.
By the way, I have to have a colonoscopy tomorrow. So
why would you just airdrop?
Well,
that in here.
Because I can see your sandwich over there and I'm hungry.
Because watching the Colts is like getting your colon cleansed a little bit.
It's a similar thing, isn't it?
It's
Derek,
just, yeah.
These are the kinds of things people want to hear about. I'm 52 years old, right? I'm relatable.
Okay.
Most people are probably stunned to hear
right.
And
we have mentioned my vasectomy multiple times. People not only tune into us for sports, but also like male issues and things like that. So yeah. I understand. Yeah.
Now, have you had a colonoscopy?
No. I mean, I basically had one in my physical from a couple of years ago, but no, I haven't had an official
for
colonoscopy.
3 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
Now,
after year 2, I said no more. This is not normal. I'm not doing this again.
Now, here's one thing. I'm half contemplating this. I don't like being out of control of things. Mm. I'm half contemplating asking them to do it without going under.
Why would you do that?
So that I'm not drowsy.
Well, okay. Yeah. No. Don't do that. That's a bad plan.
Why?
Take the anesthesia. Take it.
It's just a little camera.
No. Take it. Take the anesthesia, man. Trust me. They offer anesthesia.
Take
the anesthesia.
I mean, I'm sure it's not comfortable.
That's like my rule.
But I don't like. Then you're drowsy and like people can make videos of you going and all. I don't want that.
Well, don't have Shannon make any videos of you.
Oh, she's not taking me.
Who's taking you?
Rob Lynch.
Okay, then don't have Rob.
We have an agreement. Just in case like I do something stupid or say something funny. Whatever.
Anything colon related that you and Rob carpool together because you're the same age.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's shift it back to the Colts.
I got to start the solution tonight, and the way you take it in is the way it comes out. So you just chug,
great.
Right?
So 4-6, right? There's still like a game out of the playoffs, and they have. I think I saw yesterday the NFL's worst finishing schedule. Like most favorable, because they've got like the Giants and the Panthers,
the
Jets and the Patriots. They've got some of the truly basement cellar dweller NFL teams.
Great. So you know what? Instead of picking 14th, they'll pick 20th. All right, great.
But this team right now, Jake, I think they're better than the 2022 team, and they also again have the schedule going their way. But it just feels like that all over again, where they're just in disarray. And I don't think there's a non-zero chance that this whole thing just kind of collapses upon itself. And now they have to dig in with Flacco because they have to pretend like that was the right decision. And maybe Flacco has a good game against a Jets team that might be the only bigger dumpster fire in the league right now than the Colts are, at least at this moment. But it's just a bad spot. There's something that just feels broken about the franchise right now. And I've seen a couple of people tweet this, like it just feels like the Colts are in need for a reset. And it's like, yeah, like not a soft reset, not half measure, a full measure.
Derek, and you pointed this out. A year ago, what was the Colts record?
9-8.
9-8. And you know what they are this year? Not record-wise. You know what they are by label? Their team run it back.
Yeah.
We're going for it, baby. We're running it back. You got two franchises in town, the Pacers and the Colts, that both decided this was the year to run it back, right?
Yeah. And you're supposed to get better.
Well, the Pacers were a young team that you at least owed yourself a year running back. And, you know, they still may turn things around here. They're starting to play okay, and it's very early. The Colts, though, team run it back. Run it back from what? Improved 2 games on 9-8, now all of a sudden you're 11-6. Okay.
But the plan was run it back, and your young quarterback is going to continue to develop as well, and you can kind of grow, and then the next year 3, would be like the launch year. I think that was the plan, and that's a defensible plan. Just like, even though I disagreed with it at the time, it was a defensible plan to soft reset in 20. Yeah, they fired Reich, but kind of soft reset in 2022. After 2022, get your quarterback and the whole thing. Like, that was a defensible plan. But these plans, Jake, they keep failing. And again, I just kind of go back to it. And the Colts have a lot of things overall that they have to point to. But they are just in desperate need of a regime change. You can't just continue to keep making plans fail, make new ones fail over and over and again. It should not take 10 years, which is, it's almost been, we're into year 8,
but
halfway through year 8.
Tired, Derek.
It should not take a decade to get this thing moving. And if it is, I fully think that Ballard's future is tied to Richardson. Once you fully give up, and I mean fully give up, maybe the Colts have already given up. We don't know, right? Because publicly they're saying, well, he's still the future, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they feel that way. But once you publicly throw in the towel on Richardson, you can't allow Chris Ballard to choose the next quarterback of this team. You can't.
Would agree with that. Correct.
You cannot do that. He does not deserve that chance. And you need a change at the top. Look, the personnel are going to mostly stay because everybody's paid. I mean, what are you going to, Ryan Kelly's a free agent, okay, but like Kenny Moore and all those guys, they're paid.
Derek, here's the thing with Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard is an interesting resume because he's not terrible, okay? Mm-hmm. But he was billed as, and he carries himself as if he's like Bill Parcells, Don Shula, and Bill Belichick wrapped into one. Might be a nice guy. I don't know. I think it's a little bit odd that he's been a general manager for close to a decade in this town, and nobody knows whether or not he's a nice guy because we don't know a lot about him, right?
Yeah.
But that's his right, to be guarded, to be private, whatever, to be quiet, that's fine. Now, with all of that said, here's the deal. At this point, he's basically done 3 different things in terms of his strategy with quarterback. And quarterback is the most important position in the National Football League. Mm. He went with the veteran that he thought still had some tires left on the tread, Phillip Rivers. And he couldn't get him to come back for a second year. Okay, fine. Then he found the veteran quarterback that he thought was a franchise quarterback that he could re-get some life out of and restart the career of and have multiple years with success in Carson Wentz. He picked one the owner didn't like. And the owner said, I don't want this guy around here anymore. Okay, so that was the first strike. Rivers will give you a little pass. That was the first strike. Then he kept Band-Aiding the quarterback situation until because, we got to wait until the right time in the draft, the right time in the draft. Then the time in the draft hit, and he didn't move up. Now, I'm not saying it would have been that easy to do so, but he did not move up 2 spots or a spot and said, you know what, and then later, and this is where I think, this is to me where the Colts have most erred. They are on record, and I know that you have to do this. Excuse me. A little gross there, I realize.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I realize that you have to say this to be supportive. But when you go on record after the fact and say, don't kid yourself, we would have taken Anthony Richardson first overall. What that means is that you're saying we believed from the get-go that Anthony Richardson was a better prospect than C.J. Stroud. If that's the case, I don't want anybody making that determination doing future picks for me.
Yeah, you just can't get it wrong. I mean, in a way,
they thought Anthony Richardson was a better prospect than C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud, who played at Ohio State, who carved apart big-time programs, who was the most pinpoint accurate passer in the combine, who was composed, who said, I'm a ball placement specialist, who impressed everybody, who Frank Reich looked like he was falling in love with, and then the owner of the Panthers comes in and goes, no, we're going with Bryce Young. And so Houston goes, great, C.J. Stroud's there for us. They thought Anthony Richardson was a better prospect than C.J. Stroud. Somebody that thinks that should not be getting another chance to pick a quarterback.
And even if I'm playing devil's advocate here, the quarterback drafting really is a guessing game at the end of the day, right? You do get lucky. But the problem is that Ballard doesn't have the track record to fall back on.
Correct.
He just doesn't. Ballard's track record is some guy at NFL.com saying that he was the best GM in the draft 4 years, or best GM in the league 4 years ago. Well, that's his track record.
Here's the other thing I was going to say about Ballard. He has had good picks. He loves draft capital. Oh, the Colts, did you see what they did? They traded out of the third round and picked up 3 additional fifth-rounders. Okay? Those players have become who? E.J. Speed's a nice player.
Yeah.
But
again,
the
good players,
positions,
not great ones.
The positions where Chris Ballard has hit, and he's had some good picks, right? But the positions where he's hit are, for the most part, and I think you're the first one that pointed this out when it even happened, Shaq Leonard, Quentin Nelson,
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. If we were building the 1985 Washington Redskins, that's exactly what you want. Yeah. Running back, linebacker,
Grover
offensive
Stewart.
line.
Grover Stewart. Largely these are they're not deemed as impact positions.
Correct.
Kenny Moore, slot corner. It's not deemed as an impact position. Yeah, every once in a while, Grover Stewart eats a guy, or Kenny Moore makes a great interception. But for the most part, the impact positions are quarterback, receiver, edge, corner. Those are the positions, and the Colts largely they've done okay. Michael Pittman Jr. is good. He's a nice NFL player. He's not Jamar Chase, right? He's not a guy. He's not Justin Jefferson. He's not a guy that's going to keep any opposing defensive coordinator up at night. And ditto for Kwity Paye. Kwity Paye's just a guy. Kwity Paye, he's fine. He's okay. He's not a game breaker.
You know I want to look up here? I haven't.
And at the end of the day, like the process. So, Chris Ballard has drafted well. He has made good trades. But the process doesn't matter if it never yields the result. The point of good process is to eventually, and I sound like a broken record when I say this, yield a result. And there have been no results. The result is a playoff win in Houston in 2018. That is the result. Tangible results. I'm not even going to give them, the division thing. Everybody knows about the division. They've never won the division under Ballard, right? But one playoff win in 8 years. It's not good enough.
I'm looking up because I haven't looked in a while. And look, I still think he's going to be a really good player, but the stats for Latu. Ballard has, edge rusher is the one area that I think there was a lot of thought that Chris Ballard, like defensive line and offensive line, were his areas of expertise and specialty. And I think Latu's going to be a good player. I thought he'd be better at this point than more impactful this early, but he's been a little dinged up. But he's another one that's got to pan out, or else it's just kind of a guy, right?
Yeah, but I think Latu has flashed more than what a sheet of paper will say. I've actually been pretty impressed. I think Latu's been good.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more upside there than we've had a much larger sample with Kwity Paye. And Kwity Paye, remember Yannick Ngakoue?
Yeah.
He'd always have like 10, 11, whatever sacks. And you're like, why do teams just keep letting this guy go? And then you realize it's all like, it's all puffed up. It's almost like he's like a garbage time sack specialist, or he'll get three sacks in a game that doesn't matter. And sometimes the stats can
the Ray
be
Langford
misleading.
stat. You know the Ray Langford stat.
But a guy like that, Ray Langford hit like 350 home runs right during his career.
So Ray Langford, my Ray Langford stat, I always use it that way, is because when I was in St. Louis, the first year that I was covering the Cardinals, Ray Langford comes up, and I had joined halfway through the year, and I go, this guy's got 22 home runs.
Yeah.
So he goes, yeah, but like 19 of them are after the seventh inning in six-run games. Mm-hmm. And it was true.
Or just tees off. He gets in YOLO mode, right? Where it just
nobody says
blasting it.
No, the YOLO thing.
He doesn't care. Game plans out. And it's just YOLO.
Okay. Do you think Sugar Ray's still cool?
Sugar Ray, like the boxer?
No, the band.
Like every morning.
Yes. Do you think they're still cool?
Nah, I still jam to Sugar Ray every once in a while.
That's kind of the YOLO era, right?
Someday better things will come.
Like, are you a Blink 182 guy?
Oh, hell yeah. Love Blink. Yeah. Blink still rules.
Still rules?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Blink, you know what their breakthrough album was called, right? I mean, this is colonoscopy adjacent.
Dookie.
Enema of the State.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
One leads to the other. Green Day, the other.
Dookie as well has aged tremendously. That album rules.
That album's 30 years old.
That album, if you're asking me like albums that have impacted your life, Green Day Dookie would be on that list for me.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was the first CD. Well, REM Monster was technically the first CD, but the first boombox I had that was my own was Christmas of '94. And I got 2 CDs at Christmas.
Okay, let me guess. That was one. Can I guess the other?
Well, Green Day Dookie was the other.
Oh, in REM?
REM Monster, yeah.
I'm going to guess that Beck got some play on that.
Beck Odelay that was a year or two later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which album for the Beastie Boys had Ill
Communication? Yeah, 94 was Ill Communication, yep.
I'm going to go
You're
with
missing a big one, one that you loved.
Warren G?
No, I didn't like West Coast. I was East Coast. So like Biggie, Tribe, Mace was big for me.
How about Nirvana, Nevermind?
Things like that. No, that was a little before me. Another one that you loved. This album, you love this band. And I love this album. It was a great, great album. Everybody had this album.
But it's from 94?
No, from that era. Because you mentioned Beck Odelay, so I thought of this album too, which was right around there. I want to say this was maybe 95.
Was it 1 or 2?
1.
Oh. What's the story,
Yeah.
Morning Glory?
Yeah, Oasis. Yeah.
July, baby.
Don't look back in anger. I heard you say. I rocked that a lot.
That is the worst rendition of that of all time.
It was perfect.
No, that was a terrible rendition.
Don't you know you're my fun? It's a great one. Great song.
I never knew how bad a singer you are.
I'm an excellent singer.
No.
I've
only heard you mocking songs, and that constitutes right there.
No,
awful.
that was just pure me. I mean, I haven't cleared out. Here, I haven't. Oh, jeez. I haven't cleared. This is really good too. Mama tried from Chili Water Brew. I haven't cleared out the vocals.
Dark Mexican lager. It's fabulous.
By the end of the show, I'll sing a couple.
I can only
tunes.
have clear liquids today.
I'll sing a couple tunes. Let's transition right into our Hoagie and Hero of the Week. It's brought to you by our friends at Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, and our friends at Chili Water Tap Room, which is right there adjacent to Hoagies and Hops, southwestern edge of Midtown, hoagiesandhops.com. They cater, don't forget. But the best cold sandos and cheesesteaks in the city at Hoagies and Hops. And our Hero of the Week is the one that started it all. This was Christina's inspiration for opening the store 9 years ago in the first place. The Hog Island, the Italiano. So you have 3 meats.
Do you know how good that looks?
Really, really good, right? You can't have any of it because you're about to have your colonoscopy. So you've got your prosciutto, you've got your salame, and you've got your gabagool. Prove, oil, LTO. The absolute best.
Not with your mouth full. You know what I'm going to do?
The best. The best sandwich in the city.
I am going to go tonight to Hoagies and Hops, and I'm going to get a Zaire just to have it in the fridge for when I get home after my procedure, and I need something to eat. And I'm going to down that bad boy. It sounds so good. I'm craving it already.
I can't do the ketchup and mustard.
Oh, well.
I love the cheesesteaks, and it's still Hoagies and Hops cheesesteaks. So at the end of the day, I'll eat a Zaire, but a little too much going on. And mayo. You know what I mean? Like a cheesesteak, I don't need mayo on a cheesesteak. I don't need mayo on anything. Is onion whiz meat. That's really all I need on a cheesesteak.
That's fair.
All I need. No frills. I wasn't going to choose a Colt for this one, for a Hoagie and Hero of the Week. So I'm going to go with a Pacer. How about the way Ben Matherin's playing?
I mean, beast, right?
In 6 games since becoming a starter, Matherin's averaging over 24 points and 8 rebounds a game. He's shooting 56% from 3. And again, I think we all know this. I don't think you have to be like a basketball expert to know this. The key to unlocking the Pacers this season and making them a real contender and proving that last year wasn't a fluke, right? We keep talking about that. You know, detractors from the outside saying, well, they're the 21 Hawks, right? They got lucky. They got an injured Bucks team. They got an injured Knicks team, whatever. They got lucky. If they're really going to contend, it's going to have to be because Mathurin unlocks and becomes the player that they thought they were getting. Here's
the question, Derek. Is it possible that we are seeing a shift in that Mathurin is actually their best player?
No, I'm not ready to go there. I think that's unfair to Halliburton because of the foundation that he's already built and what he's already shown. I mean, for Mathurin, it's still 6 games is a small sample, and overall, we still haven't seen it on a consistent enough basis. Not that Halliburton's been the most consistent player. I'm not ready to go there, but I do think that there is the same level of potential for Mathurin to reach where Halliburton currently is.
Well, here's the thing. What's interesting to me is in watching them, and I'm not saying every game, but of late, when Mathurin gets going, that's what opens things up for Halliburton to an extent. And then Halliburton can get more – the lane kind of opens up for Halliburton, and then he starts getting more aggressive at the rim, and then that really opens up everything for everybody. Halliburton, I think, too often was using his three-point shot to try to loosen the floor up. Now he's got Mathurin to do that for him, so that allows Halliburton to be a little bit more selective in when he decides to go and when he decides to hold back, if that makes sense. This is all happening, mind you, without, and this is the good news for Indiana, but it's bad news that these guys are hurt, but good news that they're the way that they're playing without them. Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard, both are going to be out, I think, probably a while here, especially, and I can't remember. One is an ankle. The other is maybe like a shin, but a couple of weeks, maybe up until December. And then Obi Toppin's got a high ankle sprain. Knee tightness is one of them. But at any rate, there's the possibility they're going to have to win and play without the three of those guys for a while here.
Yeah.
And against New York, they were able to do that. Now, Tom Thibodeau is crazy and uses like 7 players for the entire game, and I don't see how they're going to make it past, say, April, but that's a different talk show. The way that the Pacers are playing and the balance that they're finding in getting minutes even from – and I'm not saying these guys are like making big contributions, but when you can pull in an Enrique Freeman for a little bit here and there –
survive?
Correct.
Yeah.
Quentin Jackson goes in for a little bit, and you're able to just buy time with those guys. That's huge. And Ben Mathurin and his ability – we forget about Siakam, right?
Mm-hmm. Who's been great.
Yeah. Mathurin and Halliburton, I've heard Rick Carlisle say that it's been a work in progress to getting to those two guys to play together. If they can keep them – you don't want to get into a situation where it's Chuck Person, Reggie Miller, and you got to make a decision on which one you're going to go. Not that those guys didn't get along. Stylistically, they had to pick which one they were going to roll with. I'd love to see these two guys play together for a while.
Yeah, me too. And Mathurin's fun, man.
He is.
He's fun to watch. He's a bulldog of a player, and sometimes that can get him in some trouble. But you're seeing over the last 2 weeks,
he's you with a jump shot.
My jump shot's pretty wet, actually. Sometimes kind of like Mathurin, I'll just be feeling it, and I'll throw up like a YOLO 3 or something like that. But for the most part, my jump shot's pretty consistently wet.
Okay. Again,
pretty consistent.
Wet.
Yeah, like splash.
Hold on. Wet is like 2009.
Mama tried. This is the dark Mexican lager from Chili Water Brewing. It is our
YOLO
brew of the week.
When do you think YOLO? What was the I'm looking up expiration date on YOLO.
Backed in the can variety on tap at the Chili Water Tap Room, right across from Hoagies and Hops. Hoagies had a great event last week for Philly's blowout of Dallas, which Eagles fans really enjoyed, especially to do in Dallas. God, Cowboys, man. If you think that we're being hard on the Colts, Cowboys, what a disaster of the season. Timmy Brown, who's going to be inducted into the Indiana Football Hall of Fame, visited Hoagies and Hops. He's from Indiana. He played at Ball State, played for the Eagles in the 60s, and he's viewed as the guy that sort of started the Cowboys-Eagles rivalry because he got hit in the jaw during a game, and that was a big kerfuffle and was the first real incident between one of the most heated rivalries now today in the league. Roy Weaver co-wrote a book about him called Timmy Brown Running Against the Grain, and he was at Hoagies and Hops signing and selling the book. So kind of cool to see. Christina leans into the fact that it's basically an Eagles bar in there on Sundays, and it was cool to be to be in there picking up some sandwiches and seeing all the Philly fans in there enjoying the Dallas win.
The acronym YOLO, you only live once, is outdated. The new hip term is DIFTP.
No, it sounds stupid.
DIFT.
Do you have to put like skibbity in front of it too? That's like a big thing. Skibbity Riz, skibbity Ohio. Ohio means like lame or something.
When I was in high school,
my kid had started.
When I was in high school, middle school, we had a banshee yell that we used to yell out. Skibbity ba.
Yeah, that's weird.
What do you mean?
That's weird. Actually, we used to do.
But like, if you were
our own language, yeah.
So like, if we were in the mall and you were like, "Where'd everybody go?" You go skibbity ah, and then you knew. I'd yell it at IU games.
We had a couple of sayings. We used to say, "Soot."
Huh?
Like if somebody makes a joke that's not funny and then there's an awkward silence, you say "Soot."
Can you spell that?
S-U-T.
Okay.
And then we also say if you wanted to...
And you're going to mock Skibbity Ba?
Yeah, we say go get some Mang as well. That means we're skipping out for lunch to go get Merritt Canteen to get food. Mang. I don't know. Mang, like the M for Merritt Canteen, and then I don't know how...
What's Merritt Canteen?
Merritt Canteen was in Bridgeport, Connecticut, like a drive-through type, like a mug and bun type place.
I'm looking up.
Yeah.
How do you spell this?
Merritt, like the Merritt Parkway.
Okay.
Canteen. And they had everything. They had dogs. They fry their dogs and then put them on the bun. They're awesome. Burgers, all that stuff. Fries, milkshakes.
This actually does look kind of cool.
Yeah, really cool spot.
Oh, look at this. They have Fruity Pebbles.
I don't remember them having Fruity
It's the
Pebbles,
first
but it's
thing
a
that
great
comes
place. Merritt Canteen. Love that. So I haven't eaten Merritt Canteen in 10 years, probably.
Fruity Pebble milkshake.
Oh, my God. So they have flavored it. See, when I was back in the day when I used to go, it was just like vanilla, chocolate, and they might have had peanut butter. But that was it and strawberry.
Oh, this is cool.
Milkshake flavors.
This is kind of cool. It says, been in business long enough that we were here when YOLO went out. Yeah, okay.
That was great, though. From high school, we had a nurse pass, and I would go in the back of McKeel's Chevy Blazer, and we'd kind of hide, and they'd take a whole crew of us, like 5 of us, over to Merritt Canteen. We'd get some dogs, smoke cigarettes, and
Excuse me?
It was great. Yeah, high school was great. I really enjoyed high school.
Hi, I'm Derek Schultz. I'm advocating for high school kids to smoke cigarettes.
Well,
What?
no, don't ever smoke. It's actually really
Nobody
horrible.
does that anymore. Do you
but
notice
back
that?
in that day, it was socially acceptable.
Do you notice, though, by the way, that like now that's the one thing I will say, having just been to Europe, right? A lot more smokers than here.
Oh, yeah.
But although they all smoke like little cigarettes that are more thin and they all smell like fruity. I don't know. It's
Oh, really?
weird.
Okay.
Yeah. But having said that, think about like in the early 90s, if you would go to a bar or a restaurant, the whole place was just like an ashtray, right?
Dude, in 2010 in Indiana used to do that. Remember KSR? The first couple of years we did the show on the radio, it was before the smoking ban.
Yeah.
The ceiling tiles were like yellow from all the smoke. I mean, I love KSR, don't get me wrong, but like it was...
The new KSR is something, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. It's great.
We haven't talked about the Colts in like 15 minutes.
I know, yeah. We should probably get back on track. We got to talk some college football as well. So, parting thoughts on the Colts, 10-0 Indiana, and we'll look at the college football playoff. We've also got a big Purdue basketball injury to get to, so plenty more to touch on besides YOLO and Jake's butt here on Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
You know,
Let's thank our great friends.
I was getting. By the way, do you notice how hot that light is? Like my face looks like a light bulb in here. Am I this pale? I know it's that time of year.
It's a little bright, I guess, but that's okay. Charlie wanted to put more light on us because we're two handsome guys, and he knows that's really what's.
There was a time where this stuff would have bothered me, but YOLO.
Oh, he's pointing to Vince, so this was a Vince decision. So maybe it wasn't the right decision.
By the way, can I also show you a photo from my vacation just because I think Shannon looks good?
I don't need to see pictures of your girlfriend every week on the show. Like,
No, I think we do.
I already know Shannon is.
I think we do.
Very awesome and attractive, and checks all of the boxes for what you would want in a soulmate. So congratulations for landing Shannon Walsh. I know others have tried.
Oh, really? I don't. I'm unaware of this. Can you let me know?
Over the years, you don't think others have tried? You
No.
think it was just you?
Yeah.
No, that's you're discrediting your own soulmate. What are you doing? We come Bailey and Wood. I wanted to mention as we kind of come back into the second segment here. 855.
Do you want the Cliffs photo or the Guinness Brewery atop the city of Dublin photo?
Just show me whatever you're going to show me, and then we can move on to the next thing. 855-350-HOME for our friends at Bailey and Wood Financial Group. BAWFG.com, the very best in the business. 5-star customer service. They have Indiana branch locations everywhere. If you go on their website and you want to go in office, you can certainly find one that is near you. But Mike Wood and his team will make sure to get your pre-approval for that mortgage if you're buying a home. Also, if you want to refi with rates starting to go down, maybe you got locked in at like 7.5% or something horrible during the peak of it when you had to buy, and you want to look at refi, you can do that with our friends at Bailey and Wood Financial Group. 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. Just a closing thought on the Colts. They have the Jets, a game that got flexed out of primetime this past week, and we talked about this, Jake. If they could get out of this 5-game stretch at 6-6, they'd be okay. The problem is that they're 0-3 so far in the 5-game stretch.
The problem is the AFC, it's like a caste system, right? You have, Buffalo, Kansas City. Who else am I missing?
Pittsburgh at this point, probably.
Pittsburgh. And then after that, Denver's kind of like, at one point, are you like, okay, is Denver good?
Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore.
Okay,
yeah,
there you go.
And I think you got to put Pittsburgh there. With the
outside
way
of that, so you're
there's no middle, Jake.
You're
That's
in
the
a
problem.
traffic jam. Yeah, you're in a traffic jam with the Jets and the Bengals and
the middle is Cincinnati, Denver, Indy, and all three of those teams are extremely mediocre.
Yes.
And then the bottom is awful. The Jaguars are terrible. The Titans are terrible. Which. Water is wet, right? This division, what's so frustrating, too, is that this division is insanely winnable again. And the Colts still, they can't
the division's
just
gone
go
there.
and get it.
But it's gone now. You got swept by Houston, right?
Mathematically, everything is still on the table for the Colts. But vibes-wise, there's no reason to believe that it's going to happen for them. That's the whole issue here. But Patriots, Giants, Titans, Jaguars, they're all part of your final 7 games. So it's a really rough.
How big an insult
stretch
is
here.
it? How big an insult is it when you had a primetime game with the Jets and they get flexed out?
Yeah. Well, the Colts and Jets deserve each other with the way that these seasons have gone, right? Let's talk about happy things like Indiana conquering Michigan, go to 10-0, first time in program history for IU. They're up to number 5 in the AP poll. That's not their highest ranking ever. The Rose Bowl team, when they played USC, they were number 4.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I guess that's the highest ranking.
But that
ever.
team was what record?
9-2.
So what's they've never started 10-0, correct?
They've never won 10 games, period. So yeah, they've never started 10-0, but they never won 10 games, period, to this point.
Do you want to know my nickname for this team? And I'm surprised it hasn't taken off.
Why not Indiana?
Well, that's trademarked.
Okay.
Why not Indiana? But what did Kurt Signetti say when people asked?
Google me.
Why?
Because I win.
Right here.
I win Indiana.
Thank you.
Yeah. Not bad.
I win Indiana. Yep.
That's pretty good. I wanted to see how IU responded in a close game, and they were kind of hanging on for dear life at the end, but they got it done, and I think that's actually beneficial for them. Look, Michigan's not very good, which kind of follows the path of their schedule this year. They've faced a lot of teams that are to bad, but Indiana just keeps getting the job done. I don't even know, Jake, at this point, if they lost by 4 touchdowns at Ohio State,
they're in.
that would
Unless
be tough,
they get absolutely the doors blown off, TCU versus Georgia level, they are in. They're going to make the playoff.
I think they've done enough. They're not losing to Purdue, right?
Correct.
I think they've done enough.
They're going to be 11-1. The only problem is this. This would be the only – okay, the reality is this, Derek. Indiana, because of all the attention they've gotten, Indiana at 10-0 is different than a 10-0 Tennessee or a 10-0 Georgia because it's so unexpected that it's getting a lot of attention, right? So people are watching them and seeing what they're doing, and they're like, okay, these guys are good. What they're doing is not making mistakes. They are pouncing on other teams' mistakes. They're forcing turnovers, notably, and they have a very accurate passing game and a lot of different weapons offensively. But at this point, they're enough on the radar and they are secure enough in the college football playoff ranking that anything shy of a complete disaster against Ohio State, I think they're in. They do not have – the one thing that is a problem for them is that they don't have a great strength of schedule. They don't have a win over a ranked team.
There's no quality win. Yeah,
correct.
There's none.
But they've done everything you've asked them to do. And so for that reason, I think they get benefit of the doubt where if they are competitive in Columbus and they represent themselves well, they're in.
They passed the eye test, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. And all
the
three
other thing,
phases,
Derek,
they're very good.
The other teams that nobody else is taking advantage. In other words, if you look at the teams that are right there around where Indiana has been, okay, whether it be Clemson or Miami or Tennessee or Georgia, strange as it sounds to say that about them, or Iowa State, none of these teams are pulling away. Everybody's stubbing their toe here.
Yeah.
Everybody is getting a loss or having a game that is a bit flat where they are not allowing themselves to separate from an Indiana.
I just think, as muddled as the picture usually is, I feel like the 12-team playoff is very clear with where we sit today. With 4 from the Big Ten, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, IU. 4 from the SEC. Now, that's a little tougher because Georgia plays Tennessee, but that's kind of an elimination game. I mean, 3 lost Georgia. We can give Georgia the benefit of the doubt all we want. If they lose 3 games, they're not getting in. So that's somewhat of an elimination game. Texas A&M is, I think, could be an elimination game, particularly for A&M. And then Alabama and possibly Ole Miss is now back in the picture, right? And then the other spots, the ACC champ, so Miami or SMU, the Big 12 champ, BYU or Colorado, the Group of 5 champ, and then 11 win Notre Dame. If Notre Dame goes 11-1, I think that's your playoff, right? Am I wrong?
Notre Dame's a lot.
And they're crushing people too. They're playing bad teams, but they're crushing them.
Speaking of college football, how big a disaster for USC have 2 things been? Number 1, leaving the Pac-12 and going to the Big Ten, and number 2, Lincoln Riley. They gave Lincoln Riley, I don't know if you know, like the University of Southern California actually owns the state of Oklahoma. Physically owns it because they bought the entire state to get Lincoln Riley to come there, right?
Well, yeah, it's not been good for them. But you know who also signed a mega extension, and his team's performing even worse.
Florida State?
Yeah, Mike Norvell signed like an 8-year extension, and his team forgot how to play football. I mean, that's a miserable football.
They lost everybody though, right?
Well, they still – Florida State should never go 1-9, right? Like, you can explain away 1-9 Vanderbilt or 1-9 Duke, but 1-9 Florida State, I mean, give me a break. How is that even possible at FSU?
Also, how about DJ Uyunglele?
Well, yeah.
No, that was
I mean, it's a great
inexact
example
science of recruiting, right?
Of the portal giveth, the portal take away. You have an extreme example of everything hitting Indiana in the portal and everything missing in the portal, and it's FSU, and it's a delicate balance to play.
Fair.
Indiana, for as good as they've been and as good as Cignetti has been, I mean, it's kind of an unrepeatable year as far as their portal success, where literally every guy that they got is great.
Well, and because you have a coach in Indiana that was coming in, they were able to get via the portal a bunch of players who have already played together.
Yeah.
Out of James Madison.
It was a unique situation, but I still think, don't get me wrong, I still think what Cignetti is doing is sustainable. I don't think it's a fluke. Like, I don't think Indiana will be 11-1 next year.
So long as Indiana retains him, right?
I think they're going to kind of keep moving on here. Something else that I wanted to mention, usually in this segment we do our Love That Play, and you weren't here for last week, but our 4-year run with Love Heating and Cooling concluded, and I kind of gave them a little bit of a farewell, but since you weren't here, I was like, well, it's not right quite to not have Jake kind of give his parting thanks and gratitude.
I think people know it. I mean, I'll never forget the first day when I was in the 3rd grade, Allisonville Elementary School. Wyandotte was another elementary school in Washington Township that had closed, and so kids from Wyandotte either went to Allisonville or Fall Creek. And we were lining up on the first day of school at recess to go back in from recess, and everybody's hey, so who's your teacher? Who's your teacher? Da-da-da. And I knew of these 2 twins from Little League days and seeing our sisters play softball together, but I hadn't really met them. And that was the first time that I met Chris Love. And I said, well, who's your teacher? And he didn't like his teacher, and he let me know that. I said, okay, that's cool. But Chris and John Love, immediately from the time I met them, were like brothers to me. That was obviously some 40-plus years ago. Love Heating and Air sponsored our Little League baseball teams. And John Love has said to me repeatedly, like, because I'd say to John, hey, I really do appreciate you sponsoring this dog and pony show we're doing. And he would say, well, Jake, I mean, if your business is having success, you want to share that with your friends. And that's how they've treated me, and that's how they've always, been like, I mean, I basically grew up in their house and have thought of both of them like brothers. But that's really what they do, I think, from a customer standpoint as well. If you're a customer of Love Heating and Air, I've had numerous people that have told me that they had them come out to look at what they thought was a problem with their furnace and found out that it was a minor problem. And Love Heating had that kind of honesty to say, no. You brought us out to do this big job. Right now, you just need this small job. that sort of integrity, that sort of honesty and knowledge of product is exactly what you're looking for in a business. But these guys have been, I've been the luckiest guy in the world in terms of just my life in general, my friendships, the experiences that I've had. It would be impossible to tell my life story without having several stories of loyalty, fun, friendship, laughter with Christian John Love over the course of my lifetime. Look forward to that, obviously, from a friendship standpoint, but from a business standpoint, they've been great to us, Derek. We've been most appreciative. We've been honored to be able to represent their brand, and certainly will always be able to look forward to having them coming in and working in the home as well.
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
Guys.
And just like we said the same thing about Lou Malnati's or WG Indiana. Like, we've had a lot of sponsors that have come through and supported us and made this show possible. We appreciate every single one of them, whether they were with us for a month or 4 years.
Right.
But 4 years is a crazy run.
It is.
A long run. We come back on the show, so quick hits. A possible retirement that I know is just going to devastate Jake.
Photos.
Plus our IU Indy Jags report.
Vince, did you get my vacation photos?
And Chateau Kitchen's Butter
photos
Bowl
I sent him? Yeah.
All of that coming up here next on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey.
Welcome back. We have breaking news.
Derek, hold on. I think my colonoscopy is Thursday.
Breaking news on Query and Schultz, which is rare because we tape this early Tuesday morning, and we rarely have breaking news in the wee morning hours here.
So it's Thursday.
Your procedure?
Yeah.
Oh, I got some lettuce in
Is that your breaking news you're talking about?
breaking news? I got shredded lettuce in my
Hold on.
tooth.
This might be good news I can eat.
I had the other half of the sandwich. I was going to take it home and eat it for lunch.
Yeah, I might. Hold
Later
on.
today. Have a half for breakfast, half for lunch. That's what I was going to do with my hoagies and hops sandwich. So that'd be tough to have to fast for 48 or whatever, 58 straight hours.
Right.
So hopefully you don't get tricked into doing that. We've got our IU Indy Jags report coming up here in just a bit. Jake will have that. But quickly, our quick hits. Daniel Jacobson, that injury really hurts Purdue. A freshman big man who had taken the role of starting from Will Berg after the second exhibition game and had a great debut in their win over Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I think he had like 13-7 and 3 blocks. Broke his tibia, though, in Friday night's win over Northern Kentucky. And Purdue going to turn back to Berg, and they did last night in their win over Yale. We're taping this right now on Tuesday. And they do have front court depth, right? Caleb First, who's still around, who's bit of veteran bench guy for them. Raleigh Burgess, who they really like, a young player.
Trey Kaufman-Renn. Right?
Trey Kaufman-Renn as well. So you can absorb some of that, but I did think that they had some hopes for some impact and some growth from Jacobson in year one, and now you're not going to get that.
Yeah, it is disappointing for sure, right? I watched him against Yale. I think Yale's a pretty good team.
Yeah,
and
they're tricky.
They are. But, Purdue still has very experienced quality pieces from around. It's just obviously, we're so used to them going to the inside. I do think that Kaufman-Renn, Derek, is going to have a big year. And I like Caleb First because he was so good as a young player, and then just his maturity to be able to kind of take a step back a year ago when his role just wasn't as needed, and now it is going to be again. And I give a lot of credit for that. But I think Kaufman-Renn is going to be a real go-to for them.
Yeah, and we'll learn a lot about Purdue. I mean, Friday they play number 2 Alabama. So, they got Marquette, they've got A&M in Indy, they've got Auburn. Unlike IU, they're going to get tested, and we're going to see a lot of them.
On the other hand, Indiana, Derek, I think Indiana's got a lot of talent. And Mackenzie Mbako is probably the best scorer for Indiana, but I don't know that other than scoring that Mackenzie Mbako goes within the and I don't mean this is a knock on him, but he is a designed, designated shooter and scorer. I don't know that if he's not doing that, then I think he there's not a whole lot else he does within the flow of an offense. But that doesn't matter because they have other good. Rice is a very, very good point guard. And Ballo is very good on the block. But Malik Reneau is their best player. He's the guy I think that really kind of has a lot of versatility offensively. I just think Indiana's still trying to figure out who they are, and I don't know that they're going to get, going into the Big Ten, the right kind of test to get a real idea. But they do have a lot of talent.
They have the pieces. It's just about making them fit. I mean, that's really the bottom line. And Indiana has this century, they've often struggled with that. So that's a big challenge for Mike Woodson.
And by the way, there's been a lot of question amongst Indiana fans, I know, about the departure of Adam Howard as the director of recruiting. And
seemed kind of sudden.
Yeah. And I've known Adam since he was a kid, and I've talked to him. I will tell you, there's no ill will there. There was not some sort of a disciplinary or like big seismic thing that happened. I think it was strictly the point of a young man who went to Indiana, was a student manager there, was a graduate assistant, got 2 different degrees, really good guy, loves Indiana basketball, but at the same time, I think that position, it was basically a creative position for him, and I think as Indiana just kind of restructured things, they decided it was a position that could be eliminated. So it was not anything against Adam, nor does Adam have anything against IU basketball other than an understanding of sometimes things like that. That's just the way it
So
goes.
he's not expecting to be replaced in that specific role.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
Yeah, kind of like our radio show.
That's right.
We're never replaced.
Did you see?
They had their largest round of layoffs since we got let go.
Unfortunately.
iHeart, yeah. And that wasn't just iHeart. Cumulus had some too.
Yeah.
It's a tough business. I'm glad I got out. Caleb Williams going to remain the Bears starter. He got sacked 9 times. 9 times. 19-3 loss to the Patriots, but the Bears are sticking it out because that's what you're supposed to do with a young quarterback. And then, Jake, this is really just horrible news if it's true. Ray Gunn, the breakdancer from the Paris games that got a lot of play, said that she was retiring, but then came back, or there were reports that she was retiring, and she came back and said she is not retiring. So news broke last week that the 37-year-old was hanging up the sneakers after an interview on Sydney radio, but on Monday morning, Australian media, she revealed that the eulogies for the alleged end to her career were premature. Did you see after picking off Mac Jones on Sunday, the Vikings defensive back? Yeah. Cam Bynum did her full Paris routine, which is hard to do because it takes a lot of skill to do
okay.
what Ray Gunn
did. She was giving tribute to Australian culture and the kangaroo, right? Come on, Derek. I'm sure you could do better. Are we ready for the IU Indy Jags report?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, IU Indy Jags report. By the way, IU, give me the website one more time in terms of tickets, Derek.
IUIndyJags.com/tickets.
IUIndyJags.com/tickets. We get you updated each and every week on what's going on with IU Indy Athletics, so let's go ahead and roll the tape. And we have vacation photos, too. I know you're excited about that. Roll the tape, if you will. They told me that we would begin with video from, this time it's volleyball. They told me swimming. IU Indy Volleyball split this weekend with Green Bay. They won 3-1 on Friday, but then on senior day, they dropped to the Phoenix 3-1 as well. Morgan Ostrowski had 16 kills. Brianna Brown, Maya Long, Elle Patterson each had 10. The Jags are on the road this week at Northern Kentucky to hopefully clinch the final spot in the Horizon League tournament, and then that would be the best finish for the Jags since 2017. All right, we're taking a look at basketball right there in women's basketball. Dominant win over Evansville to start their season in the jungle, beating the Aces 101-76. Katie Davidson added 19 points, by the way, 23 for Neve Foster, who led the way for the Jags. Jags continue their road trip this week. They're going to be away with a visit to Purdue on Thursday at 7:30, and they return home to take on Southern Illinois Saturday at 5 o'clock. We should mention, by the way, that they did trip up on the road to Ball State, did the women. All right, now for the men's side of things, IU, Paul Casaro had his dad there, which was very cool. They beat IU Columbus and did so resoundingly. Sean Craig, Keenan Garner both had double-doubles in the win. On Friday, the Jags had a great showing at Xavier, but fell 94-80 in Cincinnati. Jarvis Walker led the Jags with 20. As the Jaguars now are at home this week, they host Goshen Tuesday night. That would be tonight, by the way, if you're watching this in the jungle, and then at Eastern Michigan on Thursday. At home on Thursday. So a chance to see them in 2 days, Eastern Michigan and IU Indy at the jungle. Tickets available, IUIndyJaguars.com. Tip is
IU Indy Jags.
30 Jags, sorry.
.com/tickets.
IUIndyJags.com.
Yeah, it shouldn't really be that hard to.
I know. I kind of screwed that up, didn't I?
Be that hard.
But at any rate, and then in swimming, did we mention swimming?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll just read off.
How did they swam?
They swam well.
Swimmed.
It would be swam, right?
Swam, yeah, swam.
IU Indy men's swimming and diving outswam Ball State 235-64 on Friday of last week, while the women fell to the Cardinals 189-108. Men's team had 16 different events that were won. While the women, by the way, had 3 individual wins from Emily Zeitlow. Next week, the Jags host their annual House of Champions, which is a great opportunity to see various Division I schools at one of the great facilities in the world.
At the Nat.
The Natatorium. They will be competing at the Natatorium, swimmers from all over the country. Again, when it comes to IU Indy, I love seeing Paul Cassaro having his dad at the game and enjoying his first win. But you're talking about Division I athletics in any sport. From a swimming standpoint, one of the great facilities that you're going to find. The jungle is always fun for basketball, and you're seeing local athletes, Division I athletes, and athletes from programs around the Midwest all competing on the IU Indy campus. IUIndyJags.com/tickets for ticket information.
We come back, Chateau Kitchen's Biter Bowl Bleep, and we will tie a bow
I can't
on
believe that
episode
colonoscopy
211.
2 days from now.
Well, at least you found out now and not at 8 p.m. tonight after not eating all day, because that'd be
true.
miserable.
That's a good point.
Corey and Schultz, we wrap it up next. ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Final time. We were just told by Greg Rakestraw we have 2.5 minutes here, and Jake is insistent that we get Ireland picks in.
That's
so
right.
let's
At the top of the morning, tell
waste
ya.
some of our 2.5 minutes.
I don't know which is first, Cliffs of Moore or beers.
Okay.
Okay, this is the Guinness. This is
Yep.
at the 3rd floor of the Guinness Brewery.
All right.
This is all
There's
of Dublin
picture one.
behind us.
Cool.
Notre Dame played in a stadium that's right back here.
Perfect.
This is Hop House 13, the beer that we had, which is absolutely fabulous.
All right,
It's
what's
made
picture
by
number
Guinness,
2?
but not Guinness. And Shannon
What's
just
rapid
looked
fire here?
Beautiful, doesn't
She looks
she?
great. Yep.
Yep.
Rapid fire number 2.
There we
All
go.
right, there's number
Cliffs
2.
of
Look,
Moore.
they got hats on. Cool. All right, great.
Greg Rakestraw said that I look very Irish in this because
You
I have
do.
a white beard and the hat, which I actually bought the hat in Paris several years ago, so it's not
Where's number
actually
3? Is there a
Irish.
number 3?
And then
No,
I drove
just this. All right.
150 miles on the wrong side of
That
the
is the
interstate
end of our pictorial.
Buy it or Bull Schultz. Derek would have absolutely lost his mind driving on the left side of the
ShadowKitchens.com.
interstate. That is a buy it.
At Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures with our friends at Chateau Kitchens. Anything on the interior of your home, they can make beautiful. Glow up your house with Chateau Kitchens. Bite or Bowl Bleep. Statement 1, the AFC South is the NFL's worst division. Bite or Bowl Bleep.
No, it's Bull Schultz.
There are a couple of the NFC ones. I mean, the Cardinals and the NFC
South?
West.
NFC South?
Yeah, NFC South usually stinks. You're right.
mean,
Who? Falcons? Who's
think
leading?
the
Or is it the Buccaneers still?
They're kind of 6
Yeah.
1/2 dozen the other, right?
But I'm like 95% sure the Cardinals are leading the NFC West right now.
Okay, Bite or Bull Schultz. A team under 500 will make the AFC playoffs.
I think actually the odds are that yes,
Yeah.
it is going to happen. An 8-9 team will go. So yeah, I'll say buy it.
Okay.
That's a good one actually. It's not bad. Bite or Bowl Bleep. Indiana will win a playoff game.
I buy it.
Ooh.
I buy it.
What if it's them Notre Dame? Them hosting Notre Dame? How fun would that be? That would have to be
My
like
whole
what, a
body would be red
6-11
and white.
maybe? A 6-11 game or a 7-10
I can't
game?
believe this colonoscopy's on Thursday now.
Yeah. It's just mind-blowing. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Chateau Kitchens.
I got
right
everything
behind me.
prepped and ready to go.
Hoagies and Hops, and our friends at Chili Water Tap Room. IU Indy Athletics. We love our pals
Oh, I
at
can have the
IU
chili
Indy
water now.
Athletics and all of their teams. And also, of course, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, the presenting sponsors of Corey and Schultz. For Vince, for Charlie, for Rake, he's Jake. I'm Derek. He'll have a very clean colon the next time we see you for episode 212 here of Corey and Schultz on the
Oh, yeah.
ISC Sports Network. Bye.
At